streaming too if it's not streaming to YouTube? Dang it. How long is this stupid video are we already? Come on. It says it's start streaming. Your audience will see you in a moment. Get ready. I don't see anything going on over here. Video's not live. Chat seems empty. No viewers. Note to self, edit this video afterwards. What is going on here? Reload. Oh, dang it. Finally get the stupid thing to work. Okay. Hi everybody and welcome back. My name is Triston. I'm from UtahSEO.Ninja. Still having some trouble getting the stream thing to work. Working on it. Hopefully it'll get better here pretty soon. Excuse me. So today I want to answer a question that I get asked all the time from everybody and their uncles and their cousins. And that is, which platform is better for building and maintaining a website? Is that going to be WordPress? Is it going to be Weebly? So the 4 times now, it's taken about 20 minutes to get through everything. Sorry, I'm still not feeling too hot, so you'll hear me cough and other weird noises. The short answer is that it depends on what you want to do. You know, Weebly has a lot of strengths. WordPress has a lot of strengths. Blogger has a lot of strengths. Wix even has some really good qualities about it that make it into a very viable and useful platform. So it depends entirely on what it is that you want to do with your website. So what I decided to do to answer this question is to divide it up into 4 different sections. So first I'm going to talk about things that I like about each platform. Then I'm going to talk about things that I don't like about each platform. After that I'm going to give you some recommendations of when you should use each one, and then I'm going to give you my personal examples and experience in using each platform for different kinds of projects. So let us go ahead and get started. We have Weebly right here. We're going to start talking about Weebly because Weebly is Weebly-ish. The first thing I really like about Weebly, and actually before I get into this, I should probably give you guys this analogy. A lot of us are familiar with Mac computers and PC computers, right? So what's the difference between a Mac and a PC? First off, a Mac costs a lot more, which in this example is going to be Weebly. The other thing that it has is that it's an enclosed environment, okay? All of the hardware is built specifically for a very specific set of software, and software is built for a very specific set of hardware. And since nobody else can develop Mac hardware or anything, then there's going to be a very consistent performance from that hardware across the board. And so developers are then able to say, okay, we know that all of these computers are going to run, you know, these very specific video cards, for example, these very specific hard drives. We're able to then develop for just those hard drives or just those video cards or just those whatever, and it's able to create a very streamlined, very efficient, very well optimized performance, okay, a very well optimized experience for the user. And that's really cool. That means you don't have to worry about like a computer slowing down over time. You don't have to worry about things crashing and freezing. Your response time is going to be really fast and things like that. But the downside is that first off, they can charge whatever they want, so Macs get really expensive. Bad video settings. Please use a keyframe for 4 seconds of the last count. Is that even working right? Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me or see me okay, because that's I'm getting a notification from YouTube saying that my quality is bad, and I'm not 100% sure why. We'll give that just a minute, and hopefully I'll get a response from somebody. So the downside, like I said, is that they can charge whatever they want, and you're very limited then on the kind of functionality that's going to be available for your website or for your computer in this particular case. If you want to do something that your computer's not normally supposed to do, you're kinda in bad luck. Whereas with a PC, you have the opposite problem. There are hundreds and thousands of people who make different kinds of hardware for a PC, okay? I have 4 different companies that made 4 different fans for my computer right now, okay? My video cards from one company, my CPUs from another company, my RAMs from 2 different companies, and having all that variation can start to cause conflict. You know, how many different video cards are there out there for a PC? 1,000 different video cards, okay? And so when you start developing software for a program, like that, then, or wait, not for a program, when you start developing software for a system like that, then you start running into some other issues, because now all of a sudden it may not work with this particular device. You may run into all kinds of different problems. And so you have to be careful with that, and it can cause the web or your computer to run slower. It can cause all kinds of problems over the long term. The same exact thing happens with your website, okay? Weebly is an enclosed environment. Everything that you want for Weebly is already built by Weebly, is already part of Weebly. You have very, very few external developers or external platforms that interact with Weebly. There are a few, but there aren't a lot. Whereas with something like WordPress, what we have over here, their entire platform is based on people developing things, like plugins and themes and stuff like that for the platform, okay? Weebly in and of itself, Wix, just by itself, Wix, there's too many things that start with W's. WordPress by itself isn't that great. It's a very, very simple blog platform. It's when you start adding in all these plugins and these other crazy themes and stuff like that, that it starts to turn into what we would consider a viable website in this day and age. Whereas with Weebly, it's all built in. So hopefully that will answer a whole bunch of questions, at the very beginning, just understanding the main differences between the two different platforms. Whew. Okay, now we can finally get into the real part of my video, what I was actually planning to talk about. So things that I like about Weebly, like I said, first off, is I like that it is an enclosed platform. When I want something that will just work, and it will always work, and it will work consistently, I go to Weebly. Okay? I love that the interface is simple, but it's so much more effective as far as making changes or designs or anything like that you want to do to your website, because you don't have to go to 15 different screens in order to change a bit of text on your page. And that is really frustrating, because like over here, if I want to change something on the page, I need to go to Pages, and I need to find the page that I want to edit, and then I need to make those changes, and then if I want to see if it looks okay, then I have to come over here and I have to click on this button, and I have to go back to the site and look at it, and it's frustrating to me, and I don't like it very much. Weebly, not a problem. I want to add new text here. I grab the text button, drag it down, drop it. Now I can add my text, and I can see exactly what it looks like in real time. That's awesome. The other thing that I really like about Weebly is that it's far more secure than WordPress is. So to give you an idea, because everybody uses WordPress, then all you have to do if you want to hack into a WordPress site is you type in whatever domain.com/wp-admin, and all you have to do is figure out what their username and their password is. And you can do brute attacks, you can just there's all kinds of different things that you can do. Whereas with Weebly, first off, you have to figure out that the site's even hosted on Weebly, and then you have to go in there and you have to find the username and the password, or the email or the password, and then you have to go through and find the site, and then you have to actually edit everything, and it's just a pain in the butt. And usually that's something you're going to have to do manually, whereas with WordPress, you can set up a robot to do it, because hey, look, it's all just sit over here in these different these different menu items. You can even just say, hey, go to this specific page and then perform this specific action. You don't even have to do anything. It's awesome if you want to hack a WordPress site. So that's that. Other things that I like is that if you do want some additional functionality, there is a way to do that. You can find widgets or plugins or things like that. Anything that's going to be HTML or anything that's going to be like an iframe. All you have to do is grab this embed code tile right here and drop it wherever you want, and you're able to add that to the site, and you're able to control where it lands on the site as well. And that's the other big thing that I really like about Weebly, is that you are able to say, hey, you know what, I want to move this. Instead of having that over here, I'm going to move it over here. And you can just move it. You don't have to, like I said, go through these different pages and everything and try and find the way to do it. So that is a big help. And then finally, the thing that I like most about Weebly is it has something called a designer platform, which allows the designer or the SEO or whoever, or the web company, to actually create a website for a customer on their own platform, and shows all their own branding. So instead of this appears having a W, mine shows my logo. And the user is on my platform. It is a personalized platform for my client, and they can come in, they can make any changes that they want to the design of the page, and that's great. And then I can still come in and I can still edit the optimization of the page, and they can't get in and screw around with it. With WordPress, it's kind of a pain in the butt because your client would then have to have the same username, the same password, and everything in order to access the site. And they can come in here and say, oh, look, there's a plugin that needs to be updated. Well, I'm already here. I'm going to go ahead and go do that. They click on this button. They click on a couple of other buttons, and the website blows up. And that happens quite a bit. And so it's nice to be able to still give customers access to the sites while limiting their access to things that could potentially break the website if they're not tech savvy. So things that I like about Weebly. As far as things I like about WordPress, number one is that it is pretty much free, depending on the way that you set it up. Now, if you're looking for somebody to design a WordPress site or even design a Weebly site, you're going to spend some money on it. There's a local company here in my town that also does WordPress websites, and they're charging about $1,000 for a very, very simple, basic 5-page website made with WordPress. And my wife, who is a Weebly designer, she charges about the same for the same kind of website. So, if you're going to hire a professional to work on your website, you're looking at between $1,000 and $3,000 for a simple website. So just something to keep in mind. But if you wanted to, try and DIY this thing, you can set this up. WordPress itself as a platform is actually free. You still need to pay for your domain, and you still need to pay for hosting, which can be very, very inexpensive. So like I'm using HostGator and Namecheap personally. So if you were to go with Namecheap, for example, then you can get your domain for like 88 cents a year, and then you can set up your hosting, and it's only like $10 a year. So in the end, you're only going to spend like 98 cents per month to have a website, which is pretty good. Now, you can still purchase premium domains, or premium themes. You can do the same thing with Weebly, and you can do that through Bamboo. You can still purchase premium plugins, which you can actually do over here on Weebly as well under their App Store. So, if you want to spend money on your website, then you still can. But the initial bare bones of the site is going to be free. Whereas with Weebly, just to have the simple basic plan in order to get your website to actually be indexed, then you have to pay $14 a month is the cheapest monthly plan, or the cheapest pay in advance plan is like $5 a month if you pay for 2 years in advance. So that's really cool about WordPress if you just want to try something for free, if you don't want to invest a lot of money in it, which if you're building a website for your business, then you really should invest money into it. But you can start that for free. Another neat thing about WordPress is that it does have a lot of really neat plugins out there. Because everybody uses WordPress, then that means everybody's built things to make that process a little bit easier. So for example, one that I really like that I haven't put on this particular site yet is Yoast. And what Yoast is I guess you can call it an interactive checklist for optimization. So it will look through your blog post, for example, right? And it will say, hey, look, you could probably use your main keyword a couple more times, and you might rank a little bit better. It could say, hey, you know what? You should probably make sure that your post is at least 300 words long. And so right now you're only at like 299. Add an somewhere in there. It's a handy tool. It's not vital. I mean, if you're somebody who writes well-optimized posts for a living like I do, then you really don't need it, but it is nice to have it. So that's pretty handy. And you have all kinds of other crazy plugins in here too. I mean, you can do all kinds of the other neat stuff. So I mean, that's really neat. If there's a functionality that you want, then you can either find somebody who's already built it, or you can find somebody who can build it. So that's just really neat. And that leads me to the next thing that I like about WordPress is that it has such a huge user base. It has such a huge community built around it that if you ever run into any sort of problem, if you ever find a feature that you want but isn't currently available, then you can always find a developer who can do it. If you ever have any sort of problem with design, you can't throw a rock in any direction, or at least out here, without hitting 2 WordPress designers in the head. It is kind of ridiculous. So if you ever need help, then it's very easy to find that help. Whereas with Weebly, I only know of one Facebook group devoted to Weebly help, and as far as I know, I think I'm one of the only YouTube channels that really focuses a lot on Weebly content as far as helping people resolve issues. So it's a much smaller but more attractive user base for Weebly. Finally, the other thing that I really like about WordPress is just how easy it is to set these things up. So with WordPress, then all you need to do is you go into your hosting provider. I guess it'll probably vary depending on who's actually hosting your site. But like I said, I'm using HostGator and Namecheap. Excuse me, HostGator and Namecheap, and they have an option there where it's a one-button install, one-click install. You just go in there, you click the button, you tell it where you want it to install WordPress, and it just automatically installs WordPress, and it's awesome. This particular installation took 5 seconds, which is great. With Weebly, it's a little bit more of a pain in the butt, and I'm going to talk about that when I get into the part that where things I don't like. But no, that's one of the pluses for WordPress. If you just want to get it up and get it out there, then this is an easy way to do it. So for things that I don't like, going back to Weebly, first is we do have a bit of a limited app or plugin system here. Okay, whereas with our good old friends over here in WordPress, there are hundreds of thousands of millions of plugins. With Weebly, we have a few, and there's not a lot of them. So that's one of the main things. I mean, we are losing out a little bit of some of the other crazy functionality that WordPress has. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't be imitated, but it's not natively here. The other thing that I'm not a huge fan of, and it's actually worse with WordPress, it's really good on Wix, but it's a lot more difficult to edit the mobile version of a website on Weebly, and like I said, in WordPress it's even worse. But that's one of the things that I don't like. This is something that I prefer Wix or one of those other platforms. Muse is really good for it. So there's that. I don't like the price. I mean, I understand that you're going to have to pay a little bit more for a premium service, which this is supposed to be a premium service. But I still think that $14 a month for a basic plan is probably still going to be a little bit too much when I can go out and I can do the same thing for free using WordPress, for example. So I think if they were to bring it down and have like just a normal cheap $5 per month plan, I think that would be a lot more enticing for some other people. So there's that. The other thing that really bugs me with this, and it's not Weebly's fault in this particular case, it's just that whenever you want to set up a Weebly site using a domain hosted somewhere else, which I highly recommend. I almost always host my domains on, like I said, either HostGator or Namecheap or some of these other platforms, just so you can get that extra utility. You can set up your own email accounts, you can do all this other stuff. You have to redirect those name servers back to Weebly, and that can be kind of frustrating if you don't know what you're doing. And I've done that a lot, and I always make the same mistake over and over and over again, and it gets a little bit frustrating as well. So those are the things that I don't particularly like about Weebly. Now, as far as WordPress, the number one thing that I don't like about WordPress is that it is not very secure. You get hacked all the time, and that hacks come from not updating your WordPress, your version of WordPress. It comes from not updating your plugins. It comes because everybody knows, whateverdomain.com/wp/ or not /-admin is where you need to go in order to log into the site, and then you just do a brute force attack and see if you can get in. It's a pain in the butt. I have little teeny tiny dinky websites out in the middle of nowhere that don't get any traffic that still manage to get about 15 hacking attempts per month, and it's a little ridiculous. Of course, you can still go out and you can get an anti-hack plugin. But the issue is that a lot of times these plugins are even insecure because you're taking something from another website, something that somebody else can access, and putting it onto your own supposedly secured site, and people can still hack into your site through the plugins. So you need to make sure that these things are always up to date and that you're always using secure versions. Otherwise, you run the risk of getting hacked. And so that's the other thing that I don't like, is having to come in here regularly and having to update apps and everything. Even your themes, you can even get hacked through your theme, which is crazy. It's just a pain in the butt. The other thing that I don't really like is the designing stuff on here. So this is the site that I was just showing you guys, and it's, I mean, yeah, you can put pictures and stuff like that on here, but if I wanted to change the color of this text, then what I have to do is I come over here to dashboard, and then I need to go to customize your site, and then I need to figure out whatever that thing was. I don't remember where it is. I had to figure out I had to find wherever this particular text is located over here in all these menus, and then I need to figure out how to change the colors, and it's a pain in the keister. If I want to change the color of something over here on Weebly, select it, pick a color, hey, we're yellow now. That's great, it's easy, it's awesome. So that's one of the things I don't particularly like about WordPress. As far as designing or customizing the sites, it's kind of frustrating, at least for me, but I'm not a designer, so I get my wife to do it, and I don't have to worry about it. She complains about it a lot, though. The other thing I'm not a huge fan of is just the interface, because if you want to find something specific, if you want to see how your site actually looks, then there's no way to see it in real time. I mean, it's a little frustrating in that part, at least for me. Whereas with Weebly, if I want to find something specific here in Weebly, if I want to look at a certain page, I click on the blog button, and I have all my blog options over here, and I can just do all kinds of neat stuff with it. It's fast, it's easy, and it's efficient, and I like that a lot more. I'm not a huge fan of this. It just doesn't work for me. So those are the things that I don't like about Weebly and that I don't like about Wix. Section 3. My recommendations. I just covered my recommendation button. Here we go. Cool. Okay. So I'm trying to think the best way to phrase this. I would recommend using Weebly when you want more control over the design, when you want less of a headache with maintaining your domain or your plugins, your themes, your WordPress version, and all that other stuff. And I think that's better if you just want a simple interface where you can just go in, change whatever it is that you want to change, and you don't have to worry about which menu you're in or trying to go through different menus in order to find different parts of the site, which can get really frustrating. I think that Weebly is really great for beginners. I think it's really great for people who are worried about security, and I think that it's really great for people who are going to be who want to have a little bit more control over the site. I think that WordPress is really good if you're looking for that additional functionality. I think that it's really great if you're worried about price, and if you're not able to invest a large amount of money at the beginning. And again, we're talking about $14 is the cheapest version of Weebly compared to like 90 something cents on WordPress. So it's not a huge difference, but it's still there. I think WordPress is really good if you're looking for a lot of support, and if you're trying to do weird stuff with the site, then you're definitely going to find somebody who's already done it with WordPress. I think WordPress is really good if you're going to be working on the site every day, and you can come in and make sure that all of your plugins are up to date. And the other nice thing about it is that everybody and their cousin uses WordPress, and that can actually kind of be a bad thing too. But the reason that I'm saying that it's a good thing, and that's one of the reasons that I would recommend it, is because if you ever need to get an app or a plugin put together or built, then you can find that. I mean, there's going to be somebody out there who can do it. If you ever need help with design, if you ever need a designer, at least out here, like I said, you throw a rock in any direction, you're going to hit 2 designers in the head. It's a very easy to use system, and like I said, because there's so many people out there who are using it, then it just makes it so much easier to find the answers that you're looking for. So yeah, that's when I would recommend both platforms. As far as how I use these platforms, then I use WordPress primarily for experiments, because I don't usually want to invest a huge amount of money right off the bat in whatever it is that I want to do. I just want to see if this new ranking technique works. I want to see if this other platform works. I want to see how these different tools work, and so that's when I'll come over here to WordPress, because it's really fast to install, it's really cheap, I don't have to worry about it too much, and that just makes it very easy and approachable for me in that particular situation. I also use it for my private blog networks, just because again there's some automation that you can do with it, and I don't have to come in and work on these sites all the time. And also having a website that's so cheap, I can have 100 PBNs and I don't have to worry about spending $1,400 a month with Weebly. So that's really nice. And then people who are just looking for a simple blog, then I think WordPress would work really well. I mean, you don't have to go into anything crazy as far as design. You just set it up and it works. Now, that being said, if you're going to just do a blog, I'd actually suggest that you go over to Blogger. Haha, surprise Blogger. Blogger is actually really cool. It's very easy to set up, and I've actually made some money off of it, and I get a lot of traffic off of it too, which is kind of surprising. So this is a blog dedicated to trying to play video games a little bit better. So I go into like math and all that kind of fun stuff, and it's actually pretty popular. It got, not a huge amount of traffic, but it's not too bad. So when did I start this thing? In September of 2015, so about a year and a half ago almost. So that's not too bad. Blogger's really cool, and like I said, it's free, and I'll do another video on Blogger here in the future. So yeah, that's when I would use WordPress. That's when I'm currently using WordPress. All right, so I have a lot of websites right now that are running WordPress, and that's primarily what I use them for. For Weebly, I recommend Weebly for my client sites, and the reason that I do that is because, again, like I said, we're talking about the Mac of a website. I don't have to worry about any of my plugins conflicting or anything. I don't have to worry about things going down. I don't have to worry about going in and updating stuff. It's just going to work, and it's going to work consistently. Also, if I want to add a store to this page, or if I want to add a store to my website, it's very, very easy to add that extra content, those extra functionalities. We're going to turn this into a store real quick. So we're just going to scroll down here. Here's my product button, a tile, drop that in place. And hey, check it out. My site is now a store. So we can do e-commerce on here, and it takes 2 seconds to do. So that's really great. The other time that I use, I use Weebly for my client sites. And like I said, I used it for dependability. I use it for ease of use, and then I also used it because of the designer platform. I'll also use it primarily for stores, just because everything's all integrated in here. Your PayPal's set up in here already. You don't have to do anything crazy like with WordPress. And then finally, I will use Weebly for any sort of big project that I'm working on. If I'm expecting something to make a lot of money, or if I think that's something that could potentially get a lot of hacking attempts or things like that, then I'll probably stick with Weebly just because it's more secure. So that is that. That doesn't mean that those are the only options out there, though. So like I said, we talked about Weebly, we talked about WordPress, we kind of talked about Blogger. Excuse me. Ninja, there we go. This is a website built with a system called Adobe Muse. And this makes some really, really cool websites. This is basically a combination of all the best tools that are out there, and you can make some beautiful websites with this. I absolutely love this. My wife made this one too. What other options are out there? You can do stuff with Tumblr. You can even set up kind of like a mini website just using Facebook. So there are a lot of options out there for people who are looking for it. But since that's the most common question I get as far as Weebly versus WordPress, then I figured that that's the question that I would answer. I think that covers everything. I haven't seen any questions in the chat, so I assume that you can either not hear me, or the video quality is so bad on here because it says I have bad video settings. I'm not sure why that is. It keeps bouncing back and forth. Sometimes it says it's good, then it says it's bad. So if you guys do have any questions, shoot them to me in the chat real quick, and I'll answer them while I am still here. Otherwise, I'm going to start closing down this video because I am ready for lunch. It is 1 o'clock and I have not eaten yet. So I'll give you guys just a couple of minutes for that. And while I'm waiting for those questions to come in, then let me do my quick little spiel. My name's Triston. I am from UtahSEO.Ninja. We are let me open this back up. Utah SEO Pros. We are a website design and search engine optimization company. I primarily focus on YouTube video optimization, so we can actually get videos to rank in YouTube, in Google, which is pretty neat. So let me open up an incognito over here. What I think about Wix? That's a good question. Give me 1 second and I'll finish this, and then I'll answer your question for you. What was I going to show you? Best SEO in the universe. I love this. This is my absolute favorite thing in the world. That's me. Number one, I am the best SEO in the universe. Number one, thank you, Google. So you can do fun stuff like that. And that's what I do for a living, is I help websites to get traffic. And then my wife, who is the second half of this company, she builds and designs websites like this. So she does a really, really good job. And if you guys do want to get in contact with us, or if you want to hire us for anything, then our information should be in the description. If not, I will add it here in just a second. But that is that. Now, to answer your question, Mr. The Go Glider Gaming, Wix is a funny animal. So let me start by telling you what I like about Wix. With Wix, you can make absolutely beautiful websites. I mean, it's just amazing what you can do with them. You can go in and you can edit all of the mobile versions. You can, anything you want to change, you can change it. You can drag it, you can drop it. It's amazing. It really, 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 really is great for the visual aspects of a website. It's awesome. In fact, I have a project that I am working on. If you want to check out some of the other videos that we have here on the channel, we're talking about they're called Bluetooth beacons, where you can send people to websites from their cell phones using these little Bluetooth devices, and they're really neat. Let's go ahead and close this real quick. And it's cool because then we can send people to these very mobile optimized websites, and that's really, really neat. The downside, though, is that that functionality comes from the way that they actually build their system, they build their websites. Instead of using HTML or PHP like Weebly and WordPress uses, it uses a different kind of code called Ajax. And so when you're looking at a Wix site, then you're not actually looking at the site. What it does is it's going and pulling up the information from a completely different server or platform or whatever, and it's showing you what's on that other platform. And that doesn't sound like a huge deal, but if you are Google and you can't actually look at the site, you only read the code. If you go in there and it only has 2 or 3 lines of code sending the user to open up this other platform, then there's no optimization in there. You can't put your keywords in there. You can't put any of the actual text. It's very, very difficult for it to read it. It has to do something called what's it called? I forgot. It's like an HTML flash point or something like that. I can't remember what exactly it's called. But basically what it does is the other system will provide Google with the HTML from its side of the platform. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. There's actually a really big issue last year or the year before where that system where it would provide that flash of HTML for Google, it stopped working. There was an incompatibility between Wix and Google. And so there were thousands and thousands of websites that were just de-indexed. They didn't show up in search anymore, and they lost a ton of traffic. And it actually happened with one of my client sites. We had a client site built with Wix, and then all of a sudden the site just disappeared. It was gone from Google, and we didn't know if we had gotten hacked. We didn't know what the problem was, and so it was a real pain in the keister for us, and it caused a lot of problems. And I actually have a video on that back when that happened. It goes into a lot more detail of the difference between the actual code behind the sites. I think it's I forget where that is. Let me see if I can find it real quick and I can show you. Come over here to the channel just so we can take a look and you can see if it works for you or not. This thing will keep up. My computer runs so slow when I'm trying to stream, and I'm not sure why. I can stream games on here just fine, but whenever I want to stream this kind of stuff, see if I can find it. Videos. But yeah, it's like I said, I mean, it depends on what you want to do. If you're going to be sending traffic to Wix from a different platform, so like if you're going to be sending traffic to Wix from a YouTube channel or from Facebook or Twitter or whatever, then you should be just fine. And they've actually been working really hard on improving the optimization for their channels. They've been working really hard on it, actually. And they're even having a contest right now where they're offering $50,000 to anybody who can outrank them for this keyword that they're trying to rank for. Do I still have it on here? I may have deleted it. Hope I didn't delete it. It was a good video. I know it's in here. Where'd you go? Wix sites de-indexed by Google. I think I was working in Google for it. You can add forms with Weebly. They used to have a built-in option for forms. There it is. That's the video I was talking about. Wix websites de-indexed by Google. They used to have an option for it. It was actually a plugin that you had over here, but it has since been removed. What I'm using right now is what's it called? There's a blogging form platform that you can use, and they'll just give you the code, and then you can copy and paste that code over here, and it works just fine. I forget what it's called though. I'll have to double check. I was using it for one of my other sites. Yep, exactly. I'm not sure if they've added it in their apps though. Forms and commenting your users with love. So I haven't tried them. I haven't ever needed a form. The other one I was using was Forum Platforms. Who was it that was doing it? I forget what it's called. I keep wanting to say BattleNet, but I know BattleNet's not right because that is my that's Blizzard's platform. I'll have to go back and see if I can find it again. But there is one, and I was using it for one of my sites. I don't think that site still has it. Let me see if it's still set up. I think I actually removed it. Yeah, I did. No, it's definitely not over here. It's not over there. It's not over there. Yeah, there is a way that you can do it. Like I said, I just have to go back and find the name of it. But basically what you want to do is you want to find a forum platform, you know, any other forum platform like what we're just looking at in the search, and then it will give you an embed code, and then you can embed the form onto your own website. And you should be able to do that with pretty much anything except for WordPress. With WordPress, and you would just use their own plugins, but it's just an HTML code that you can drag and drop in there. So you can definitely do that. So it's just a different way to do it. I wish I remember what it was called. I'll have to go back and double check. It started with a B. BraveNet, that's what it's called. Here it is. So yeah, you can use this for your forms and stuff. Forums, excuse me. I get to learn how to talk good. And I guess you can even build websites and stuff with it as well. It has all kinds of neat tools over here. But they do have a forum option. So basically what these things are is they're all just a whole bunch of plugins that you can add to any kind of website, and that would include Weebly. So it's pretty cool. Let's try this again. BraveNet forums. Web tool form. There you go. Yep, all you got to do, they'll give you the code, drag it, and then you take your Weebly thing, get your embed code, and then you just drop it like that. Take this code that they give you, and then you're good. So there's that. So yeah, that's how you would add a form to Weebly. And like I said, you can do that with Wix as well. The only difference is that you would use their they don't use tiles. What do they use? Anyways, you just use that interface and you can add those. So that's how that works. So yeah, Any other questions before I shut this thing down? Give you guys a couple seconds. I need to add my... It's http://www.utahseo.ninja. Haha. Okay, so you can give it just a couple seconds because I know there's a bit of a delay here, and I don't want anybody to get cut off if they have questions for me. The only other thing that, well, no, I guess that would be a little bit different, wouldn't it? So, all right, well, I'm not seeing any other questions coming in. I hope that I have answered all of you guys' questions for you today. And of course, if you're watching this afterwards, or if anything else comes up, feel free to leave a comment. I do answer every single one of those things. And it's pretty, you know, I try to answer everything just because I know how frustrating it can be to have a question and not find an answer. And if I'm not able to answer your question, I'll at least try to point you in the right direction. But yeah, my name is Triston. Like I said, I'm from UtahSEO.Ninja. And if you guys have enjoyed this video, then please go ahead and give it a like. And don't forget you can subscribe. I try to do videos like this as often as I can. I'm hoping to do a lot more this year. I'm hoping to get up to 2 videos a week instead of just 1 a week. Probably be doing live streams like this every Friday. That way I can just sit here and answer you guys' questions and talk about fun stuff. So yeah, I think that's it. Have yourselves an excellent day. Happy to help. And I hope that you are all going to enjoy your weekend or spend it working, which is almost as good. So yeah, have a great day.